Now let's turn our attention to Nigeria's economy. No doubt the political activities in the country is getting heated up, with more politicians declaring their interest for posts of the #1 office in the country. From former governors of states to lawmakers indicating their interest, Nigeria will yet witness more activities in the coming days. And more recently is the official declaration of the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, to contest the 2023 presidential election. His declaration put to end months of speculations. However, Nigerians are in search of right leadership ahead of the 2023 elections to help address its many economic woes and challenges. And this perhaps is likely to be the highlight of the discussion on the road to 2023. Joining me on this discourse is Dr. Emeka Fleming Okengo, Chief Executive Officer of Antheo Concept Limited, a project development and management company based in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. It's a pleasure having you on Business Breakfast, Dr. Emeka. Dr. Emeka. Okay, we would join, Dr. Emeka would definitely join us as the show goes on, but we would be analyzing what is in the offing, especially as a lot of people have been throwing their hats in the ring, talking about the 2023 elections. What do they have to offer? What does it portend for the Nigerian economy? But we would start that conversation after this break. Please stay with us. Still talking about the road to 2023 and what it portends for Nigeria's economy. And still joining me in the discuss is Dr. Emeka Fleming Okengo, Chief Executive Officer, Antheo Concept Limited. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Okengo.
Pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much for having me.
Now, going by the current state of the Nigerian economy, what's your assessment, general assessment of the Buhari's administration? And this is 7 years after, and they've talked about one of the key goals of the Buhari administration when they were taking on power in 2015 was to revamp and boost the economy. But how do you assess them after 7 years?
Well, first, I'm not one to limit assessments to particular periods. Okay. So we should be assessing the government of Nigeria because government is a continuum. So if you say to me, okay, let us probably have an assessment of the last 7 or 8 years of the Nigerian administration led by President Buhari, it will sit it better. Because this is not a dictatorship. Buhari is running the same constitution all the other presidents before him ran. All right. So I think it might not be fair, or right, if it's going to be negative or positive, to put it on. Yes, people will tell you that the buck stops on the table, but I think rather we start right by saying let us assess, the involvement of our country in the past 7 years or 8 years, if you may. And if that's what you want me to do, again, you must also remember that what's in your balance you might call the seen on the unseen. The seen, will be the physical infrastructure that has been provided, and the unseen will be the policies, that drive, the development of this physical infrastructure. So, which of them do you want us to do now? Let's start on a good plate.
Let's begin with the policies that have driven or that this government has ridden on.
Beautiful. On the basis of policies, I'll score the government very, very highly. Very, very highly.
Okay.
A lot of very good policies have been put in place. One of them, of course, the very popular TSA that stopped a lot of the hemming and the misuse and siphoning of public funds. That was very major. Of course, you now have the IBPIS, which also has helped. And then a lot has been done with, these very legal frameworks and then anti-corruption policies,
But if I may come in, Dr. Emeka, at this point, talking about the IPPIS, yes, you are rating it high, but it also isn't without its issues. For instance, it is the main reason the ASU is still on strike. They are saying that they do not want to be enrolled on that particular program, but you are.
Well, the question will be why. If you say it's a good policy, and if you say it makes it easy for everybody to know who is everybody, there's this integrated payment system that allows, a clear understanding and a seamless, payment of size and emoluments. Why wouldn't anybody want to be part of it? That would be the question. Why would you want to be independent of something that can be able to hem, or stem, hemorrhaging of a public financing? Why would you want to do it your own way? Do you understand? Because part of ASU's argument, if I get it right, is that it's going to be cutting off a lot of their benefits and all that and all that.
And they came up with their own style or their own system, the UTAS.
Yes, what is important is that the academician or the academic, the word of the academic is not the same thing. And maybe the operational, statutes and the programs or frameworks might not also be the same thing, but there has to be a meeting point. But I think the important thing is that let there be this general architecture, or infrastructure that captures everybody into a seamless payment system. I think that will help at least with this eliminating of ghost workers, which is very rampant now. Help with eliminating rampant and back what you might be able to call through de facto employment and all that. That might also help. So whatever it is that can be able to help us move forward and then try to become globally competitive and then begin to now tie into global standards. I think everybody should encourage it.
Okay.
And again, there is nothing that does not have it's only God that is faultless, remember.
Okay, let's also talk about the CBN's policies, the different policies that the CBN has brought up, especially to revamp the economy. For instance, they brought up the RT200 policy, and then there was also the crypto ban, which was the banned banks from engaging in crypto transactions. And of course, we saw recently that about 6 banks were fined for that, for flouting that particular law. What are your thoughts on these policies?
On the crypto thing, the only problem I have with crypto is that there's nobody you can go to. There's no regulation, there's no regulatory authority, there's really technically no owner. Okay, I mean, if you invest in crypto now, as I'm speaking to you, you could go sell your father's house, or take all your whole inheritance, and then in a week's time, it doubles or triples or quadruples, and then in another 1 week, your wallet collapses. What do you do? Who do you go to? Who regulates? Who do you complain to? So it's just this blockchain technology, that allows a system to be able to run your life. Is it okay? Yes, it is. But for us we have not gotten to that point where you can now begin to even track those who might be able to hack into the system, and that's what has happened in so many cases where you now have a lot of fake crypto traders, who are now establishing their own blockchains and then reaping people of their lifetime investments. And then when you're not talking about the CBN policies, on the other hand, remember that CBN is just supposed to have, help government to manage its monetary policies. That's basically, call them the government bankers. But they needed to intervene, through the economic sustainability plan, in certain areas of the economy so that they could start first the speed and we had gotten into a recession they needed. So whatever the CBN is doing now is more or less interventionist in nature. And a lot of it is, again, like I said to you, it's only God that has no, vulnerabilities. Everything would have, its downtime, mistakes here and there. But I don't think it's a mistake we should focus on. I think it's a lessons learned, okay, out of maybe what you might be able to call the mistakes. Have they done well? To a very large extent, I would say yes. But have there been also, areas where we could worry? Yes, of course, there will be. Because these are policies made by man, most of them fire brigades because they needed to address certain issues, and so because they are fire brigade, at that point in time they are putting out that fire, then you should be able to then start in placing things that are more sustainable, and this is where your physical policies come in. This is where your private sector, actually should begin to play that a very major role.
Now, let's also look at the e-Naira, which of course was established in 2021, and then we saw a downward swing in the interest of Nigerians. At the beginning, it looked like Nigerians were interested, but towards the end, and right now, there's really nothing said about it.
Well, because a few hours after it was launched, I think it was hacked. That's what happened. So CBN even at one time had to close it. And this is this stock of infrastructure and technology that I was talking about earlier. And yes, it's a good step, and then out of the lessons learned, you can now begin to now, upgrade or amend or whatever it is you need to do. But what's important is that all these things are now global, okay? People are creating these technologies to make life a lot easier, but they don't come without their challenges. All right, so and this is where your technology, this is where your cyber monitoring, this is where your cyber engineering, okay, this is where your cyber spying comes into perspective. You must be able to have that back end infrastructure, soft and hard, that will make certain that people don't hack into systems like that, and then begin to now create more confusion that are creating solutions.
Well, let's look at the race to the 2023 elections. It's quite typical with election season. You see a lot of aspirants from ex-governors to former senators, professionals, among other politicians who have been vying for this #1 job at the Aso Rock. But what do you see as the potential, especially when you look at the caliber of people who have shown interest now? Is there hope for the Nigerian economy?
You talked about caliber. If they didn't have caliber, you would have called them as caliber. When I mean caliber, I don't think you meant it in a negative.
No.
Yes, you meant it in some like these guys are people who are appropriately equipped, to run government. Even you speaking to me now, I can declare, and I'm sure you also have that caliber. If you can be able to hold this conversation and be able to deal with issues, contemporary, then you also have that caliber. But I don't think it is the people that want to run that problems. It is us that want them in. I think that are the issues. Okay, I don't think we'll build a Nigeria that every Nigerian believes in. Because if we do, I don't see us wanting to be talking about, somebody from the Southwest zone, I must go to support him, somebody from the Southeast zone. We'll be looking at, first and foremost, people who now have what you call not just capacity, but carrying capacities. All right? People who are able to, and it's just not the man who wants to be president. He only has an office. All right? That's recruitment and that search or that, review or overview, will start from who is councillor. You understand? It is the failures of a councillor that leads to the failures of a president. And this is what I don't think we've understood clearly. Why are we not excited? Why are we not worried about who is going to be local government chairman? Okay, why are we not worried about who's going to be member of the state houses of assembly? Because these are actually the people that make the laws. But
it looks like all attention are focused on the #1 job.
On one man, and he just has an office, okay? And his office limited. All right? The powers and responsibilities of the president, doesn't translate to what happens in your tiny village or mine.
Absolutely. Okay, Dr. Emeka,
yes.
We have to put a peg on it there, but the conversation continues with you, but that will be after this break. Please stay on the line. All right, we'll be... All right, we're still focused on the road to 2023 and what it portends for the economy. What it stands to gain? Will it get better? What are the chances of those who are vying for different positions having what it takes to boost or revamp the economy? And I still have with me Dr. Emeka Okengo from Anthil Concepts Limited. Thank you so much for staying with us, Dr. Emeka.
Thank you very much.
All right, so you were talking about the fact that there's need to focus on other levels of governance as against just looking at the top job of the president. But what are your assets, or what would you advise, especially as Nigerians would be going to the polls in 2023? What are the things you think Nigerians should look out for in a candidate?
Carrying capacity, and carrying capacity is just not about the paper qualification. It also has to do with job experience and background. Okay, that should just be what it is. I'll be looking for somebody who's won those shoes, somebody who's been, at that very low level, somebody who's climbed up to the rung, and then has some history that can be looked at and investigated. Somebody who served diligently and conscientiously, that would be my person anytime.
All right, I would like to get your final thoughts on this issue, especially we see that the train is already getting loaded. A lot of people are already showing interest, and Nigerians are already, some people are already conversing for different candidates. But what are your thoughts, your final thoughts on this particular issue?
Are you asking who my candidate will be?
No, of course, we don't want you to campaign for anyone. I'll just like...
I've told you what it is now. My thoughts will be, for anybody who wants to be president, I mean, the person has to have, a modern, cursory, nationalistic outlook. He has to be very nationalistic. Okay, he has to be somebody who is able to say to me, I am not a Muslim, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Jew, I'm not an idol worshipper, I am just simply Nigerian. And then just not say it, but show it. Show it in attitude, show it in character. Okay, and I'll tell you what that would be. I like somebody who would start his campaign simultaneously and then make certain that if you look at his campaign program, everybody who's supposed to be, every group, every tribe, every creed is represented in it. But a lot of people were saying, he must come to the southeast, he must go to the southwest, he must stay in the north. That's for me not it. What should be it is that let's be able to create a Nigeria where Omalala, you're talking to me now, you can probably say, I just spoke to my elder brother. And then, follow this up to say, anytime I want to go to the east, there's a place I can stay to because I have an elder brother called Emeka. And ditto for you and any other person. Until we're able to develop that kind of person who can encourage that kind of synergies amongst us, I don't think we're ready.
All right, that's a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much, Dr. Emeka Okengo, Chief Executive Officer, Anthil Concepts Limited. Thank you for your thoughts this morning.
God bless you. Have a good day.
Have a good day, too.